all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, good ground clearance, high sitting position. Before, all these factors were only sought after by contractors, loggers, people who want to tow their own boats to go fishing. But now look at this. This is the new Subaru XV. It's modern, it's rugged, it's relatively flood-proof, and it's highly capable in clawing onto the road when it gets slippery, winding, slippery and winding. These kind of cars have attracted a new kind of demographic, an additional group of buyers, the kind of people that care about how their hair looks like, the kind of people that spend 15 ringgit on a cup of coffee, people with expensive gym memberships. So how did all this happen? One word: relevance. People now want their cars to have presence, but they don't want it to feel clumsy behind the wheel. They want to be seated high up just to see far ahead on how badly people are driving. But they don't want to have to climb up a ladder just to get into the driver's seat. What you get then is, in modern speak, called the crossover. Now, I really want you to share your thoughts in the comment section if you disagree with me. But I think this car is like one of these trainers. It's versatile. They'll cushion you in supreme comfort while you live your active lifestyle wearing tights and all that. But at the same time, they also go well with your smart casual attire at a wedding dinner in a hotel. And because I own one of these shoes, I kind of like this car as well. And one of the reasons is how it looks. It looks robust, but at the same time elegant and sharp. Compared to the older model, this one even has a new chin job and a more profound jawline. And this one, being the high-spec 2.0i-P model, even comes with automatic LED headlamps that swivel according to your steering inputs. And if things get a little too tropical and muddy, there's even headlamp washers as well. You should be well received in this car by friends, colleagues, even the hotel valet. Drive this up to the lobby and you'll most likely be greeted with a smile. But if I were to show up in, say, my dad's old beater Pajero, they'll probably direct me to the loading bay. And at the back, it's the same story as well. It's all good news. The XV just looks the part of a urban high-riding vehicle. And to sum it up, it's just got a really charismatic outlook. And I'm sorry for sounding like I've taken checks for saying all these nice things, but I can assure you, I'm not the only one that thinks so. I remember Subaru once told me that they're making so many of these that their factory in Segambut is just overwhelmed. The orders are just flooding in. And us being in a society where looking good is everything, I think the overwhelming response on this Subaru XV kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it? Before I go on to tell you what this car is like to drive, I'm pretty sure you're wondering, why on earth does he seem like he's driving off-road, on gravel? It's because I am. So I was just here the other day in the exact same location driving the all-new Toyota Rush. And let me tell you, the difference in having two extra wheels clawing onto the road for extra traction is just so significant. The kind of assurance that you get from behind the wheel here is just good return for the money. While Subaru offers additional features in this high-spec model like the automatic headlamps and the other stuff that I mentioned earlier, both variants actually come as standard with all these fancy driving aids like active torque vectoring, active torque split, X mode. Now, it's too lengthy for me to go into the finer details, but essentially all these systems give you all the traction and bite you will ever need, especially on this kind of loose surface. And when you're turning into a bend, the car is just obedient to all the steering inputs with no unexpected reactions like oversteer or understeer. You know how it's like when you're driving on a slippery road in the heavy rain, your car just feels edgier than usual? Well, let me tell you, from behind the wheel here, there's just none of it. And that's why I brought the car out here in the first place. It's not that I expect you to drive off-road on the gravel and all that, because you won't. Now, you'll probably spend more time in your office basement or a shopping mall car park than it will ever see mud. but this is to sort of simulate a slippery driving condition, which we all face in the rain, so that I can convey all the feedback and experience to you to the best that I can. And let me tell you, it's pretty damn fun off the road. Now that we're back in civilization, the XV's natural habitat, the tarmac, what is it like to drive? Let me tell you, and this is as straightforward as I can get. It's smooth. Combine the steering, the throttle, and the CVT gearbox that everyone seems to whine about. Bring them together and you get this very refined, very creamy driving experience. It's just like a cup of milk coffee that's made just right. With the car weighing over 1.4 tons, primarily weighed down by the all-wheel drive system, you'd think that it needs a turbocharger, and you could be right. But let me tell you, I've been driving for the last 5-6 days through town and highways, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. Not once did I feel like this car needed more power or that it lacked power, except for the time that I was late for an event in Sepang and I was rushing. The video should be out soon. Now back to the whine we were talking about earlier from this CVT gearbox, and as I've said, I've driven hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, and from what I've observed, it's just been seamless. It reacts quite quickly to the pedal shifters here, and you only hear a bit of whine when you really squeeze the engine. Now Subaru have said that they have significantly refined this gearbox here, so I can't imagine how bad it was in the previous model because I've not spent time in it before. But let's face it, everything whines when you push a little too hard, doesn't it? Personally, I'm not a big fan of CVTs. I don't even like automatics, which is why I converted my E36 to a manual. No problems. Now since I've mentioned the weight, you're probably wondering, wouldn't it be thirsty? Well, not exactly, you know. I've done 2 full tanks, I'm on my 3rd now, and both have exceeded more than 500 kilometers. And honestly, if I was less aggressive with my throttle, probably would have gotten more. The brakes are as linear as the acceleration. Visibility from where I'm seated is fine. The seats are really comfortable, they're quite supportive. The details are quite pleasing to the eye. There's plenty of storage spaces as well. But here's the problem. It's this space right here underneath the aircon controls to access the HDMI port and the USB port. I find it a little restrictive, and when I'm grieving about it, I can see myself saying a lot of things that sound wrong. Hey, where's the hole, huh? Wow, it's quite tight, huh? But I quite like the displays up here. It's quite interesting, quite outdoor-like, but maybe a little redundant as well, and perhaps geeky. I'm not sure if people will care about the gradient their car is on, or if their headlamps are on automatic or manual, or even if the brakes are on. Personally, I would prefer to see things like the oil pressure, the oil temperature, everyday parameters that might be more useful, I feel. No matter how brilliant a car is, no car is perfect, and of all the things that I've pointed out earlier, my biggest criticism of this car is this, the head unit. Sure, it's very effective and all, the Bluetooth connects quite instantly the moment you get into the car. Sound quality is pretty alright, but the display though. I mean, how could they have built such a quality interior but ended up neglecting this? Such an important feature. The display just looks, well, cheap. It looks like some kind of China-made player that you buy from Brothers for $100. And considering the whole car is quite well thought of, the angle of this display is just hopeless. Especially on a hot sunny day like that, which is all the time, you just get this annoying reflection. It just blocks out everything. You can barely even see anything when you're trying to reverse the car. And I'm not trying to be picky with this, but it kind of puzzles me a bit. You know those pockets that you get behind the front seats? There's only one, behind the front passenger seat. I mean, if it's a costing, how much more can it cost? It's just a bit more fabric and some stitching. What's also quite anticlimactic when I'm enjoying this soothing ride with my favorite Spotify playlist is the tire noise. You can just hear it penetrating, infiltrating this quiet cabin, ruining the peace inside. It's almost annoying. These sets gotta go. And if I were you, personally, I would go for the PS4s. With the car's capabilities and those tires, I think they'll be a great match. And part of your money also goes to the double wishbone system at the back. And in the sort of suspension world, double wishbone is good. Whether you're intentionally throwing the car into a corner or accidentally going into hot, it's just so composed. It sits so well, with so little drama. It handles almost like a car, maybe even better. I really miss those cars, even just the sight of those old Imprezas. But I dare stick my neck out and say that this is the rightful evolution of the old Impreza for this modern time. Get it? Evolution, Impreza. You know, people want their cars high riding now, but they don't want it to be good only when the tarmac ends. They want it to be comfortable. They want to be able to drive to work in it, take their family out for an outing or a day trip during the weekends. And for a car in this price bracket, honestly, I can't think of a candidate or a prospect or an option that can do better. So, is this Subaru XV the car for you? If you're looking to spend a little over 100,000 on a car, but you don't want a sedan, you want something with a little bit more presence, a little bit more flair, then of course. But if you still think that this car has its shortcomings in terms of performance, transmission, looks, or even features, then perhaps not. For more information on the new Subaru XV, do log on to AutoBuzz.my. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. People who care about their hair. Almost good one take already, man. This should be my last take. This should be it. Having the 2 extra wheels. Oh, it's a snake. I'm done!